Doesn't the company employ? Doesn't it provide service delivery? I mean, there are people who are dependent. And you said that even some of these people who are accessing the Hustler Fund are people who voted for you.
My brother, this is not a fund that is directed at people who can access credit through the normal means. A company that is capitalized in the billions of shillings is not a company that can be unable to go to a bank and obtain the resources. So why is a company that is capitalized in the billions of shillings competing with a mamamboga for 500 shillings?
I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
We have different categories, isn't it?
Because but that's what I'm saying. The component that was launched yesterday was supposed to be for the 500 to the 50,000. But you have a company here that is getting 300 million shillings. How many hustlers would have benefited from that if you divided the 300 million by 500 shillings?
But Senator, to be clear again, because the company has management, but it doesn't gobble up that amount of money because it's so humongous. Does it not employ people? And they are not service delivery people who can depend on this. I'm talking from the perspective of the chain and the advantages you have, that it bears on the people's lives. The question to ask yourself is, who was this fund intended to benefit? The rationale was that there are people who are locked out of the kawaida credit market, that you cannot walk as a hustler, somebody with mkokoteni at Marikiti, into Standard Chartered Bank of Moi Avenue and get money. But the CEO of Twigger Foods, surely, this is somebody who can go to Standard Chartered and get a facility. Okay. This fund was meant for the people that were being described by Governor Wamatangi. Okay. But if they are, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, however, there are very different categorization of the same, because the personal is the access between 550,000 Kenya shillings. Extensive and very expansive. Yes, Senator, I come to you. And your party has reservations, and by extension, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition political party, about the proceedings as conducted by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly. Why? First of all, I want to say that I commiserate with my brother Osoro. He's in a very difficult position. Osoro is a member of the Law Society of Kenya. He's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. He took an oath, just like me, to always defend this constitution. The question that you asked him, because conduct that constitutes gross misconduct, that is the basis for removal of a commissioner, is a question of fact. If somebody has violated the constitution by their conduct, it's a question of fact. And that fact is, revealed during the hearing of the petition itself. It does not reveal itself during the report writing stage, and Osoro knows it. So by now, he should be able to tell us, and the question maybe you should have asked him is, as a person who has here, whether it is the definition of a fund, whether it was intended to be a grant, whether it is interest, we don't need to be clever with Kenyans. The people who voted for this government understood what the president currently meant when he said he was going to be giving them a grant. So let us not come up with Kizungu Mingi. He himself is the one who defined Kizungu Mingi. And this is what is exactly happening here. That goalposts are shifting, but there is nothing wrong, even Governor Wamatangi, by admitting that, yes, this was the initial intention, and then we decided to change because of the following reasons. People will understand. But don't make it seem like we are, we have lost our faculties, that we don't know what we had. We are making us doubt the things that we had straight from the horse's mouth. So I think the truth of the matter is Kenyans can see through this charade. They know that this is not what was promised. This fund is not going to be sustainable. There are legal problems with the foundations of the fund, the question of the appropriation of the resources, and the subliminal communication to the public that, in fact, these resources are not to be paid back. And lastly, if it was really intended for the law of the law, the ones at the bottom of the pyramid, the first beneficiary of this fund was this company called Twigger Foods, a company that is capitalized in the billions of shillings. That is not a hustler, So it tells you that there's always going to be changes and tweaks to these things. But does it not have an impact on the people that the administration calls hustlers? I mean, in terms of employment, services. So ask that to the mamamboga at Marikiti that Governor Wamatangi was talking about. This promise was not made to companies like Twigger. I mean, it was made to them, the mamamboga, the 500 shillings that he's talking about, the ones who were supposed to repay 500. But Senator, there are, of course, two different spectrums here. Doesn't the company employ? Doesn't it provide service delivery? I mean, there are people who are dependent. And you said that even some of these people who are accessing the Hustler Fund are people who voted for you. My brother, this is not a fund that is directed at people who can access credit
credit through the normal means. A company that is capitalized in the billions of shillings is not a company that can be unable to go to a bank and obtain the resources. So why is a company that is capitalized in the billions of shillings competing with a Mamamboga for 500 shillings?
I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
We have different categories, isn't it?
Because but that's what I'm saying. The component that was launched yesterday was supposed to be for the 500 to the 50,000. But you have a company here that is getting 300 million shillings. How many hustlers would have benefited from that if you divided the 300 million by 500 shillings?
But Senator, to be clear again, because the company has management, but it doesn't gobble up that amount of money because it's so humongous. Does it not employ people? And they are not service delivery people who can depend on this. I'm talking from the perspective of the chain and the advantages you have that it bears on the people's lives.
The question to ask yourself is, who was this fund intended to benefit? The rationale was that there are people who are locked out of the kawaida credit market, that you cannot walk as a hustler, somebody with mkokoteni at Marikiti, into Standard Chartered Bank of Moi Avenue and get money. But the CEO of Twigger Foods, surely, this is somebody who can go to Standard Chartered and get a facility.
Okay.
This fund was meant for the people that were being described by Governor Wamatangi.
Okay.
But if they are, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, however, there are very different categorization of the same because the personal is the access between 550,000 Kenya shillings. Extensive and very expensive. Yes, Senator, I come to you. And your party has reservations, and by extension, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition political party, about the proceedings as conducted by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly. Why?
First of all, I want to say that I commiserate with my brother Osoro. He's in a very difficult position. Osoro is a member of the Law Society of Kenya. He's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. He took an oath, just like me, to always defend this constitution. The question that you asked him, because conduct that constitutes gross misconduct, that is the basis for removal of a commissioner, is a question of fact. If somebody has violated the constitution by their conduct, it's a question of fact. And that fact is, revealed during the hearing of the petition itself. It does not reveal itself during the report writing stage, and Osoro knows it. So by now, he should be able to tell us, and the question maybe you should have asked him is, as a person who has sat through these hearings, have you seen conduct from these commissioners that meets the threshold of gross misconduct or violation of the Constitution? So that is what is supposed to be carried on into a report. But what that tells you is that it is all a charade. It is just something that is to rubber stamp a predetermined outcome. The president himself has expressed himself on this matter. He has already called these people rogue officials. He has already said that they put the nation in danger by their conduct. He has already said that they subverted the democratic will of the people. Now, these three things is what Osoro should be able to tell us. Because unfortunately, when he is here as a majority whip, he is the one who represents government. And he also doubles up as a member of that committee. Mheshimiwa Osoro, tell us, in the mind of the president, what is this conduct that makes these four individuals rogue officials? The reason why we are protesting, my brother, is because under Article 3 of this Constitution, all of us are enjoined to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. Okay. We are not defending these four individuals. That is the distinction I want to make here. We are not defending the four individuals. We are defending the Constitution. It is the Constitution that provides and gives all of us certain protections, that in the event that I have conducted myself in a certain way, there is a procedure for my removal. That procedure is also cast in a certain perspective, that number one, there are certain rights. The rights to fair hearing. Number one is that you need adequate time to prepare a defense. And also that you need sufficient details of the charges that are laid against you so that you are able to know what the case you're going to meet is. Yeah. When these commissioners appeared before Osoro and his committee, they requested that, number one, they would want sufficient details as to what exactly they are charged with. Those petitioners who appeared before, and I happened to watch those proceedings, were totally lost. They didn't know what was going on. In fact, But when the commissioners and the advocates were raising the preliminary objections, there was a right of reply for the petitioners. But that guy didn't even know what was going on. In fact, it was a member of the committee who prodded them and said, if you don't speak now, if we retreat and make a decision on the preliminary objection, you will not have opportunity to speak, which tells you that these people are being carried. There is a darker, sinister hand that is directing these proceedings that Osoro does not want to reveal.
Which is that then the...
It is, I am not shy.
Okay.
I am not shy.
Okay.
Given the tweet from the president,
yes,
given the fact that they felt aggrieved by the conduct of these commissioners, and that conduct has not met that threshold, I can assure you that this thing is being directed by none other than the president himself, William Samoei Ruto. And for him to pretend here that, oh, the president does not issue any directions, I can tell you I have made colleagues in parliament, because Osoro, I wish you understand that if we do not act right, you see, the way we came together as members of parliament from across the political divide to stop the importation of maize, it is because it is the right thing to do. I can assure you, Osoro, that once you violate this constitution and set that particular precedent, the next time the shoe is going to be on the other foot. And it is very heartbreaking, because this is a government that said that when they come to power, all politically instigated investigations, witch hunts and so on and so forth, and prosecutions would come to an end. They told us that freedom is here. Ayub, if you can deny somebody the right to see the evidence that they are going to be confronted with, these people who filed these petitions did not even attach affidavits to say, this is what I am talking about, this is what they did, and this is what constitutes gross violation of the constitution. You deny somebody the right to face his accuser, to be able to cross-examine them. This is such an egregious violation of the constitution. And I think, having been a member of the Law Society of Kenya Council,
yes,
the LSK should censure its members on this committee, starting with Osoro,
okay,
and for bringing dishonor to the profession.
Yes, yes,
now
yes,
you see, Governor, we are not saying that, in fact, people can get into offices and not misbehave. I think it is human nature that sometimes people are. But you see, this constitution is the one that sets out what you do in the event that people violate their constitution or their oath. And there is a procedure. All we are saying, for instance, when you say they have to come to answer the question, what is the question? What is the question? These guys are asking for details of the question. Why are you summoning me? What is this conduct that you perceive has met this threshold of gross misconduct for me to come and answer? What is your evidence? What is the evidence I'm coming to interact with? Who are my accusers? What are they saying? Where was I on certain date when they say you are on Citizen TV today in the morning? Can I see the clips? Was I there? You see, these are questions of fact that need to be, sorted out. Number two, these things that Osoro calls details. Osoro, this is a document you know. These are not suggestions. These are not stories in here. This is a document you know. You know what it means when they say they're provided for a right to fair trial. It is not details. What we are saying is we can gauge with some level of certainty where this thing is going, given the behavior of the committee, the way they have handled the petitioners, the pronouncement by the head of state. I can bet here, and I don't know who can take this bet.
Okay.
Because when the report is going, I can see your cameraman volunteering to take the bet. I can assure you that this committee is going to indict these 4 people. When he talks about the standing orders, just let me finish. The standing orders, Osoro knows, are subservient to the Constitution. He knows it. So he's just here pretending. And number two, those same, standing orders provide that one petition should be dispensed within 14 days. You have 4 petitions, Osoro.
Okay.
You want people to meet a case of over 50 days in 14 days, and you don't want to grant them even time for them to be able to prepare.
Okay, Senator, because you mentioned certainty, and it's important that I hold you to account and query, because it's a matter of factual. You talked about in defense of the Constitution.
Absolutely.
And you cited the president, for example, because here I have petitions filed by Reverend Dennis Nthumbi, the Republican Party, Geoffrey Langat, or Steve Gary, seeking the removal of the commissioners, not the president, and you have no evidence to that effect.
What evidence do you need? He tweeted it on his official Twitter handle.
A tweet is not evidence.
What do you mean it's not evidence, my brother? Let me tell you. You want me to open his Twitter feed now. I'll do it. I'll do it live on TV.
I mean,
this is the evidence you need. My brother,
as a lawyer.
The law, yes, the law recognizes
let's have
digital communication.
Yes, hang on.
Digital communication. These days, I can even serve you papers on WhatsApp.
You made your case.
The things that I say on my official Facebook pages are evidence, my brother. This is me speaking.
You made your point.
Yes.
I mean, let's have clarity here.
Yes.
And at the best interest of time. Here are 4 petitions.
Yes.
And you talked about the president.
Yes.
With no evidence that his hand is steering this process.
This is the hand. I want to show you the hand. Allow me to show you the hand.
How is Twitter hand?
It's even called a handle. It has a hand in it. Let me show you. Let me show you what he said. I'm telling you, my brother, let us not try and be clever. The truth of the matter is, this is William Ruto's official account. If it was not his official account, you'd be saying something. These days, you communicate through many means, you know?
And Honorable Sifuna, Senator, it's about being factual. I mean,
yes.
I'm seated here to steer communication.
So can we go fact by fact?
Okay, yes.
Let's go fact by fact. Does William Ruto have a Twitter account?
At the best interest of time.
That's a fact.
Okay, at the best interest of time. This is not a legal courtroom to prosecute that matter, but there are petitions filed and not the president who had filed them. There are 4 petitioners, Dennis Nthumbi, the Republican Party, Geoffrey Lagat, and Howard Stephen.
Can I just say something on what the governor is saying? Because Article 50 does not talk only about court processes. And I want to read it for him. It says that every person has a right to have any dispute that can be resolved by application of the law decided in a fair public hearing before a court, or if appropriate, another independent and impartial tribunal or body. Parliament is such a body, and this is a dispute that is supposed to be resolved, the petition is supposed to be resolved by application of the law. Do these people have a right to know what they are coming to be confronted with prior to them arriving? Yes, that is a constitutional right. In fact, it is why the clerk of the National Assembly, upon receipt of these petitions, send the petitions to these people to tell them, prepare, you are coming to have an appearance before. But the petitioners found that the material that was presented before them was sufficient, and they highlighted the deficiencies in those materials. What Parliament needed to do is to ask the petitioners to be able to present that material. I need to know what your allegation is. If you send me a letter with nebulous allegations like now, you were framing a question to say, come and tell us how you conducted yourselves and whether it was proper. That is not the basis of an investigation. Then you say that the president has a right to hold his view, and I'm happy you've said that, because I could see that our host today was trying to distance the president from his own tweet. So I agree that the president has a view. It is his view to express himself on these matters. But when you say a matter is live before Parliament, even in Parliament, we are precluded from discussing matters that are before a court of law because of the sub judice rule. Now, if you are saying that Parliament is an independent institution, it's conducting its processes, we then all have to respect that process to allow the members to be able to interact with the evidence and to be able to reach a conclusion. But when you say, as a head of state, that this matter is live, but you have concluded that these people are rogue officials,
thank you.
You have already condemned them. You have already said that they subverted the democratic will of the people. Yet, whether they subverted the democratic will of the people is precisely the question before the House of Parliament.
Thank you.
That means that you are interfering. That is the hand you are looking for.
Thank you, Senator. And to be clear.
I think it's important.
The process for the removal of these 4 commissioners is a foregone conclusion. And I have said I am willing to bet that, in fact, this committee is going to table a report indicting these 4 commissioners. And Osoro here knows it is just being coy and very unfair to your viewers this morning. Number 2, it is about the 2027 election. I can assure you, it is about having a pliant election body. It is about making sure that there will no longer be elections conducted in this country. It will just be a selection. Who is going to be governor of Kiambu? Is he somebody who we can work with? Is he friendly? Who is going to be the senator of Nairobi? And it will affect all of us who believe in the democratic processes. So we will remember this day, and we will know who stood with us and who did not. Lastly, when you talk about this Hustler Fund, you know, the first few steps that you take on a journey determine the direction you're going to take. If you take the wrong turn at the beginning of your journey, you are totally lost. I can assure Kenyans, and I have encouraged them, take this money, nobody's going to come.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Your time is all appreciated.